Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Spurs Up Show, the best Gamecocks podcast on the internet. Today is Tuesday, March the 10th, 2020. On today's show, former Gamecocks shortstop Bobby Haney joins me as he does each and every single Tuesday to break down South Carolina baseball. We talk about South Carolina sweep over Cornell over the weekend, our takeaways, and also look ahead as the Gamecocks open up SEC play this weekend, hosting the Tennessee Volunteers. Before we get into everything, this is a podcast to you by our friends over at SeatGeek. SeatGeek, the best ticket buying app by far, the only ticket buying app I use, and the only one I recommend. Go download the SeatGeek app, go to SeatGeek.com. Use the promo code SPURSUP. You're going to save $20 off your first purchase. Guys, they've got tickets to literally anything and everything, whether it be South Carolina Gamecocks sporting events, you're trying to go some of the baseball games, the SEC tournament, women's basketball tournament, whatever it may be, concerts, comedy club events, professional sporting events. Heck, it doesn't even have to be sports, guys. It doesn't matter what you need tickets to. SeatGeek has it got you covered. They got a great ticket rating system which rates the tickets for you based on the type of deal you're getting. So, guys, are you going to have to scalp? You never have to worry about if you're overpaying. They put it all there for you. It's super simple, super easy. You're going to know exactly what you're getting. You're going to know you're getting the absolute best bang for your buck. You're going to be able to see where you're sitting. Like I said, they really do all that work for you. You're not going to be in the stadium wondering, hey, how much did the person next to me pay? Am I really getting the best value? Did I overpay for my tickets? Or did I get a good deal? You're going to know all that. It's going to give you that peace of mind when you click the buy button. So, again, that's our friends over at SeatGeek. Be sure to check them out. Go download the SeatGeek app. Go to SeatGeek.com. Use the promo code SPURSUP. That's SPURSUP to save $20 off your first purchase. Let's get it. Joining us today on the Spurs Up Show as he does each and every single Tuesday to break down Gamecock baseball, former South Carolina shortstop and 2010 College World Series champion, Bobby Haney. Bobby, appreciate it as always, my friend. Great to have you in the studio once again.
Thank you.
Let's jump right into it. South Carolina obviously coming off of the sweep of Cornell. Really I thought Mark Kingston said it best in his Sunday presser after the final game, a business-like weekend where you really took care of business. You beat Cornell 10-2, 10-3, 6-1. You knew you were the better team. Just kind of talk about, again, this is a South Carolina team that was coming off back-to-back series losses. You suffer the tough series loss against Clemson where it goes down to Sunday. You lose it in heartbreaking fashion. Just what it means, I guess, again, you were on a team that, it's funny, we were looking back at the 2010 schedule and sort of the run you guys went on after you lost back-to-back series, kind of similar fashion. Just what it means for this team, these guys to be able to go out there, get back on the right side of things, get the sweep, no matter the opponent, and just get some confidence back under your belt.
Yeah, even though the team is not what you expect. It's not as good as Northwestern or even close to Clemson. You still got to take care of business. You got to have that confidence going into SEC play. Also got one more game this week versus
Citadel. Yeah.
Citadel. And we'll be ready to go next weekend. But just a confidence builder, seeing who can still pitch, getting your stats up like we said before the SEC play starts is going to give you that confidence boost. Wes Clark is taking care of business. Some of these guys are stealing bags. A lot of guys are coming. Malone's coming back from injury, so that's good. That's important to have him back. But you just got to take care of business, like we always say. I don't care who your opponent is, but you gotta have that little confidence and rolling into SEC play. It doesn't matter what kind of confidence you have, as long as it's something positive going into the SEC, because it's the toughest conference in the country.
Yeah, and you mentioned SEC play, and that's really what this show is going to revolve around, because obviously it is game week in the sense of SEC play looming this weekend. Obviously, you got to take care of Citadel tonight at Founders Park, but SEC play looming. The Tennessee Volunteers are going to come to town. I want to talk about – we'll start with the pitching because, it's funny. I talked about this on Monday's show, and, I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm just, loyal to a fault, or I'm just overly optimistic because I'm a baseball guy or whatever, but, even with how the season's gone to this point, I still feel like this can be a really, really good baseball team. And one of the reasons it starts for me is the starting rotation. First things first, this team is in so much better of a position than it was last year in regards to pitching. You look at the starting rotation, Carmen on Friday, Thomas Farr on Saturday, Brandon Jordan on Sunday. Farr and Jordan have been nothing short of electric. I mean, Farr 6 innings just shoved on Saturday, and then Brandon Jordan 10 strikeouts in 5 innings. I know it's Cornell, but he looked really good against Clemson. So did Farr. Carmen Majinski, though, is the guy I want to focus on because dominant to start the year. He's had back-to-back outings now where not his best stuff, especially against Clemson. I think giving up 6 earned runs in like 5 innings, got knocked around. And then Cornell where Cornell jumped out to a 2-0 lead. And, he only gave up 1 earned run, but 5 walks on the day too. I'm not ready to bail on Carmen Majinski and say he's like not the Friday night guy. I know a lot of people are asking, hey, should we shuffle around the weekend rotation? And, listen, it's all going to play itself out. If it gets to a point where you maybe want to play with it and move Farr to Friday or Jordan, whatever, you can do that. But I still fully believe that Carmen Majinski can be this team's Friday night guy. Again, like I said, I know he's had back-to-back bad outings, but just kind of talk about from your perspective again, when you're Friday night guy, because we talk about how important that is, especially the arms you're going to see in the SEC. When your Friday night guy is struggling, I know it doesn't change for a fielder or a hitter or anything like that, but I mean, you got to think these guys behind him, they all have confidence in Kingston and this coaching staff. They have confidence that Carmen's going to get the job.
Yeah, well, he's the leader. He's he's been there for 2 or 3 years now. Yeah. He's the veteran. So you have your veteran go on Friday night unless he is ridiculously struggling on the mound. So, all the scouts are there. They're watching that guy. You're not going to have, a junior college guy usually start on Friday unless, like last year, the injuries. Right. The injuries got to the pitching staff more than the lineup. You could disguise, a freshman in the 9 hole or the 8 hole or the 7 hole in the lineup and kind of, bunt them around and do stuff. But you can't, like last year, you can't have 2 guys come in like Tringali and start on Friday night.
Yeah, and Danny Lloyd.
And have Reed pick up the slack on Saturday every single time. He had to be perfect. So with Clemson, with Carmen, being – I think he's 92, 95. Yeah. Instead of the scouting report we kind of had in our heads was 94, 97. He's going to have to get a little bit more creative as those guys, say in the big leagues when they drop from below from 97 to 92. They got to get a little more creative and but just stop. Don't nibble so much. Yeah. Because I think the walks kind of killed him, right? He had 5 walks. 5 walks, yeah. And that was when I look at Thomas Farr and I look at him, the stuff to me is pretty similar. And I would argue Carmen's got better stuff. But Farr on Saturday was just so much more the aggressor. Mm-hmm. And we talked about, I talked about this with you over the weekend is, yes, Thomas Farr had 2 walks, but they're competitive walks. You're getting a 3-2. A guy just has a good at bat. And sometimes you just tip your cap to a guy when you try to locate an off speed or a fastball just misses off the black, whatever, and he gets a walk. But, these 4-pitch walks, these 2-out walks, like where it's just not even, you're not even near the zone. That's what I saw from Carmen Friday. And again, Cornell came in, not even hitting 200 as a team, not a good hitting team, but any hitter's a good hitter when they're 2-0, 3-0, 2-1, 3. I mean, you know that. Anybody, you give the worst hitter a good count, it's going to elevate their game and elevate their confidence and usually lead to success for them. Yeah, you worry about Carmen a little bit. The fans are a little worried about how he's getting hit around and walking, 4 to 7 batters per game or averaging 3 or something. But, he'll be fine. He's got to battle Tennessee this weekend. I think we're gonna know who he is, right? Coming into SEC play. We're gonna know who this guy is on Friday night, and if he gives us a quality start, which is, less. I'm saying quality start is less than 5 walks, 2 or 3 runs given up, 2 or 3 runs earned. But we got to tighten up the defense too behind him. It's like we're lackadaisical in the field a little bit, and kind of just maybe not throwing our gloves out there, but we got to tighten up all around. And the offense obviously has to step up like it's been doing.
Yeah, and that was the good thing I saw defensively. Obviously, it's crazy, Bobby. I know you weren't in the stadium Friday, but it was one of those games where you're booting the ball around, you make 2 errors, and it's just early, and it's 2-0 Cornell in the top of your second. You're thinking, oh my God, this season is turning. Luckily, I don't know if Mark Kingston threw some bats around or got in some people's asses or what he did. I literally tweeted and said, I think Kingston needs to just go off on people right now. Yeah. Thankfully, they come back. They score, I think, 4 runs in the bottom of the second, kind of run away with the game. Whatever happened worked, and then you run away with the rest of the weekend. But back to Carmen, the thing with people asking or saying, should we switch it up? You have to think, too, just kind of behind the scenes. Again, you've been on a team. I've been on a team. When you go through, and especially with the situation of Carmen, you've known he was going to be the Friday night guy since last year. There's no question. You can't bail on your guy that fast. You do so much more damage than good when you bail. This isn't football where you only have 12 games and hey, we play 3 games. We're a third of the way through the season. Yeah. There are 56 games. He's only had 3-4 starts. You got to stick with your guy. You got to stick with your gun. Show some confidence in him. And I'm sure that's what they're going to be doing a lot of this week. Skylar, me, and Mark King say, hey, you're good enough. You have the stuff. Let's make some small adjustments, minor adjustments, but you have the stuff, man. Let it work for you. I don't care who's on the other side. you're a top prospect for a reason, and just let your talent flourish. And I think that's what he'll probably do against Tennessee.
Yeah, you can't throw anybody else in there. He's the guy. I mean, he's not. It's not the point where he's struggling that bad. We need to switch it up. That's a panic mode from a fan base standpoint. People are going rah 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 again. It's just ridiculous. So who are you going to put out there? You can't put Thomas Farr just got thrown into the rotation.
Yeah,
and Carey got taken out. And
Jordan's the new guy. I mean,
Jordan's the new guy, and he's good for Sunday. So you're not going to throw anybody else in there Friday, unless he's. We'll see how these SEC games go,
right?
And then go from there.
And you think Farr and Jordan? I mean, as good as they've been, they've never pitched in an SEC game. This will be their first time going to the gauntlet. Majinski has at least done that. He's pitched at Arkansas in a super regional game. Like that type of experience cannot be taken lightly. We talk about the pitching, talk a little bit about the defense, talk about the lineup a little bit. You mentioned Wes Clark, again, leading the country, 8 home runs on the year. I told you this over the weekend. It's funny. Somebody compared him. He's our modern-day Phil Disher, which I think really you look at it, it's kind of a perfect I feel like if you put one of those old bats in Wes Clark's hands, he probably is the modern-day Phil Disher. He's probably got like 15 bombs at this point. But I like what I'm seeing from the lineup, Bobby, especially the top of the lineup. Like I feel like it's been so long since South Carolina's had a true leadoff guy, like just a true leadoff guy we can depend on, know what he's going to give you every single day. Yep. Noah Myers is becoming that guy we were talking over the weekend. He's like right at 500 OBP, which is great for a leadoff hitter. Jeff Heinrich, a guy that I was so high on through the spring, had a terrible start, had a rough start of the year. He's coming around now, hitting 250, second on your team in ribbies. Again, you got Wes Clark in the 4-hole. You got a guy like Brady Allen, who we talked about, your guy now leading the team in batting average. Yeah. Crazy what he's doing. Yes. Andrew Eister, who's the power threat. Brennan Malone going to come back in that 3-hole. But just talk about, again, you were a guy that bounced around and knowing the lineup from the top, bottom, wherever. But just the value for a lineup to have that 1-2 solidified, to have a true leadoff guy, to have a 2-hole hitter that can create some havoc and make some noise similar to your leadoff guy. I feel like that's something that excites me for this team, is that you don't just have the boppers. You have the speed guys now at the top of the lineup that can get on base for a guy like Wes Clark, because it's a big difference in a game when a guy like Wes Clark's hitting a solo shot versus hitting a 3-run homer.
No, yeah. I think it puts Kingston's mind at ease, too, to write that lineup every day, even for, guys like me who coach, 10 through 13-year-olds. You got that leadoff guy. You don't have to worry about it. Even if he's struggling, he's still getting hit by a pitch. He's still getting walked. It
was like we saw him at Noah Myers Saturday, 3 walks.
Right. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, that's terrible for the other, pitching staff, but he's getting on base. OBP is 500. Not a lot of games played, but it's great. You got Campbell, who's, dealing with a little bit of injury too. He'll come back, and he's a speedy guy too. But, and Brady Allen seems, he just, like, that experience is there. That swagger of experience, just kind of, that's what he looks like he has around the field. And he's got good swing, good at bats, starting to climb up there. But, a lot of these guys know what it takes to, battle in the SEC. Wes Clark is not going to probably hit 9 or 10 more home runs in the SEC, but he's taking care of his business. He's gotten that confidence going. He knows what his strengths are. And he's, in that big part of that lineup, Eister, and then your boy Malone is, I think he's huge. We got to get him going. You got to get him.
I mean, he didn't have a great weekend, but he's rusty. He hadn't played a month, but you can see it. You can definitely see it. It's there for sure. Now, it's funny. I was going to say that the comparison to Disher and Wes Clark, it's funny. He reminds me of he reminds me of a lot of the traditional Carolina power hitters, like a Disher, like your boy Nick Ebert. Like once the breaking ball comes, it's a little dicey, but God, if you leave him a fastball over the plate, it is just, tattooed. It is just no chance.
No, it's awesome. Just take care of your fastballs, baby. Up and in, and or down and in, whatever Wes Clark likes. But it's good to, like you said, let's have some guys on.
And I think it's going to put a lot of pressure, more so pressure on Malone and Eister and the guys behind him and around. Like it's, those pitching staffs. Obviously, you have all this tape now, this footage. They're going to know that. Hey, I mean, I think Wes Clark's going to get fed sliders, curveballs, change. Like it's going to be a rare occasion that I think Wes Clark probably sees a fastball.
Yeah, Eister and Malone aren't doing well behind him in second and third. You better believe he's getting walked. Right. Easily, he's getting intentional walk. So, got to take care of the whole entire lineup, and bottom half's got to do that part as well. But it's just we still don't know what to expect because it's not. Citadel will be a little bit better of a team, but Tennessee, that's our test. That's our. Clemson was our test. We did pretty good. Even the Sunday game, we had that game kind of won in the balance 2-1. And then, it was just, little bullpen issues, which even happens in the major leagues. Yeah. But I think if we battle with Tennessee this weekend at home, we'll show the fans and, we'll show everybody, that we could battle.
And that's why I think it's so tough, to make predictions in baseball, no matter the level. Because, I mean, listen, I watch this team in the fall and the spring and the scrimmages, and people are asking me, how's the team look? How's the team look? And, I mean, the talent can be a lot better, and it is a lot better. There's no question in my mind it's a lot better. But what makes a baseball team – one of my favorite baseball quotes, and I'm sure you'd appreciate this one, Bobby. I forget who said it, but in baseball, you're going to win a third of your games. You're going to lose a third of your games. It's what do you do with that other third? You know what I mean? And it really comes down to, same thing with South Carolina baseball. It's like you have this talent, but what do you do when you get in those pressure situations? That's what separates the average teams from the good teams from the great teams. When it's 2 outs, guys on second and third, is your team good enough to get the base knocked? Do you live in that moment? Do you flourish in that moment? And we already talked about this a couple of times on the show, me and you, but do you embrace that moment when it's 3-2, 2 outs, bottom of the ninth, bases loaded? Can you get that strikeout? Can you throw that strike? And I think, again, like you're saying, and I said this on the Monday show, there's no fans right now that are going to sit there and say, oh, we swept Cornell, we're back. You know what I mean? We're back. The season's back on, it's whatever. But because when you get in those SEC series, it's like you said, we don't know a lot about this team because how does this team react? My favorite thing to say about a football team is, all that talent and stuff and that off-season talk is great. When you get punched in the mouth, how do you react? That's the biggest thing to me is how do you react? And again, unfortunately, we saw against Clemson, you kind of you failed that task a little bit, especially in the Sunday game when you had so many opportunities with guys in scoring position. You're not able to get that big hit, that timely hit. Those opportunities are going to continue to come up in SEC play. There's going to be more than one occasion probably this weekend and every weekend where, it's kind of like football. There are 3, 4, 5 moments that really determine the outcome of the game. And you played on a team obviously in 2010 that, maybe early in the season you guys weren't fully grown into that yet, but as the year went on, it looked like a team that really embraced the moment, wanted to be, there were multiple guys in that lineup that wanted to be up with the game on the line. There were pitchers that wanted to be in the game with the game on the line, wanted the ball. You know what I mean? You think of a guy like Adrian Morales, you couldn't keep him off the field when it was guys scoring position. You have to have that mentality.
Yeah, Enders is in the 7th hole. He's been in a great big spot in his state championship game. He wants to get that job done. I'm in the 8th hole, and I've been getting that job done in high school and partially in junior college. So I don't know how this lineup feels when they're in the 8th hole or George or whoever's in the 9th hole. But Wingo even felt like he was supposed to get the job done in the 9th hole. So you can't have just TJ Hopkins and Luke Berryhill and, Wes Clark like he did last year and, some of this year because that's not going to work. You got to have 1 through 9, at least 1 through 8, being competitive. So you turn the game on and be like, yeah, I don't know who he was, but he got a base hit to win the game on Saturday night. That has to be our team to get to 15, 20 wins in the SEC. You can't have a home run from Wes Clark and Eister, and that's it.
Right. Noah
Myers got to do his part, and the bottom of the lineup has to do their part as well. But, yeah, you're right. You're exactly right. We embraced it 1 through 9. It wasn't like, oh, yeah, our 1 through 5 is not doing good. Let's go. So, I don't know. We were just competitive all the way through.
For sure. So, like we said, we're going to focus on SEC play. Yeah. Tennessee this upcoming weekend. I want to ask you because we were talking a little bit off air. Tennessee over the weekend, one of the surprises. They come into the last weekend undefeated, one of the hottest teams in college baseball. They lose 2 of 3 to Wright State on their home field, which, granted, Wright State's had a pretty good program. I think they've been a regional team the last couple of years, but still, they lose 2 of 3 at home. I want to ask you, because somebody, obviously as fans and we scoreboard watch and we look down the road, as an athlete, you stay in the moment, you kind of handle the task at hand. You try not to let anything external affect you. But how much did you guys, did you ever take notice? Did you ever scoreboard watch? Did it ever even matter to you, what the team you were playing did the previous weekend, or was that just something? Because I know, again, we talked about how the Clemson week felt. This week definitely has got more intensity than a normal week has had to this point.
Yeah, no, I think the equipment managers at the end of the game, in the locker room, would be like, "Oh, Georgia lost or Tennessee lost tonight." I'm like, "Cool." I don't really care. Same thing I teach the kids today. I'm like, I don't really care unless we got a good scouting report on them that night who are playing. I don't care what they're doing. We got to take care of our stuff, take care of our business. I think the Patriots say, let's do our job, and then we'll obviously, have a scouting report on whoever we're playing, the Jets or whoever, but take care of your job first. And I think down the road, once it gets to the last or 2 last SEC series, then we can maybe start scoreboard watching a little bit to see,
as far as standings and stuff.
Yeah, this is where we stand, and, what's it going to look like for the SEC tournament or postseason play, but yeah, no, not a lot of not a big scoreboard watching guy, especially like you said, we're in the moment, we're playing. So that's kind of for the coaches and, maybe the outside fans to worry about.
What was there a difference for you guys, like as far as intensity? Just again, it's you approach every day the same way. That's how you play the game of baseball. Honestly, that's what I believe. I think you see your elite players, a guy like, and it's different in the big leagues, but a guy like Mike Trout or Stanton or Judge or these great players, these great pitchers. I mean, they approach every day the same way. They all have their routines. It doesn't matter who's on the other side. But for a college player, I feel like the emotions are a little bit different, obviously, with 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds, whatever. Was there any extra juice the week of, or I guess going into SEC play? Because, again, there's going to be a significant, noticeable rise in level of competition.
Yeah, I think Clemson and Arkansas, you got the extra butterflies, and you're just really, really amped up, even though it's a baseball game. But once that first pitch is thrown, like I was talking to my buddy the other day, once the first pitch is thrown, it's like –
just baseball.
Yeah, it just goes away, and you're like, all right, it's a baseball game again, And then a situation comes up where you're second and third, and you're up where you're a little bit more amped up. But I think the more better teams we played, at least in my opinion, the more focused.
Right.
So if we're playing USC Upstate, it's like, all right, I gotta focus. I gotta try to focus a little bit more harder on this game a little bit because it's not a.
That's just human nature. Yeah, it just is. I mean,
it's not Renato from LSU throwing, 94, 95, or, Pomerantz from Ole Miss, throwing me a curveball or something. So it's easier to get focused, during that time. It's such a big game, but it's just baseball. After the first pitch is thrown, the nerves kind of go away, or your first at bat too.
Yeah. We were taking a look at this Tennessee team, before we got on air, and hitting 307 as a team. I think 1.81 ERA, something like that. They're coming off a series loss, and we talked about how big it's going to be for them because they've got, us at our place. They have to take on Vandy next weekend at home, which, I mean,
they're trying to take us down.
Realistically, it's probably at best case scenario, they're just hoping they don't get swept by Vanderbilt. South Carolina, on the other hand, we have Tennessee at home and then go on the road to Georgia in Athens. Again, it's not a situation of, okay, we lose a series, the season's over. But, I mean, just how important is it to get off on the right foot, get off to a positive start? Again, especially when you're at home. Tennessee's not a Georgia, Vandy, Florida. They're not one of those teams. Good ball club, really solid ball club, obviously, but they're not one of those teams. And obviously South Carolina right now, I don't think they're as bad. I know they're not as bad as they were last year, but they're not where you guys were in 10, 11, 12, whatever. But this is a team that I really feel like is trying to find its way in the SEC pecking order, especially the SEC East. Because the biggest thing for me is, like, you can tip your cap and say, hey, Georgia, Florida, Vandy, top 5 teams in the country, they are unreal. But falling behind Tennessee, to me, is going to be a very hard pill to swallow. I think you're safely ahead of Missouri and Kentucky. If you're not, we're having a whole different conversation. But falling behind Tennessee, and again, I'm not trying to take credit away from what Tennessee has done, but it's going to be a very tough pill to swallow, Bobby, for this fan base if you're falling behind Tennessee in baseball. Just talk about, number one, how important it is, how important it was, when you played, and how important it is for this team to get off to a good start. But especially with this series, you're at home. You've got your 3 guys going on the bump. Your lineup's been playing well. But just talk about the importance of this weekend and kind of what you're looking for.
Yeah, well, Tennessee wasn't the Tennessee that we played back 10 years ago. So they've definitely revamped the program a little bit and have a lot better recruits coming in. I think they added to the stadium too. So they're excited. But just staying excited. I think Coach Kingston would say kind of similar. We're trying to look for a series to get pumped up about that. We could have, Northwestern series. Okay, opening day we won. Northwestern series, they take 2 out of 3. Clemson, the same thing. But we're looking for that series win, especially over a good team that's gonna, boost our morale for the team and keep us excited. So this is the series to do it, and for the fans too. I think the fans are down. Obviously, I hope they come out Friday and Saturday and Sunday. Support, since the SEC. That's when all the fans come out. That's what we've been hearing. So I think they're looking for that spark. So if we take 2 out of 3, I think that's big for the program right now as we stand. Even though we just missed beating Clemson, but Carmen's got to do the job. But like you said, I think we talked about it, stay competitive all 3 games. If you lose 2-1 or lose 5-4, that's saying that we're competitive. Not that we're going to lose, but stay competitive throughout the whole series. I think our pitching staff they're ready to go, as opposed to last year. It was scary with Carmen going down. It's like, who's going to fill in? So we're loaded in the bullpen. We're loaded, with our staff. And then I think at home, helping us out. If it was Tennessee on the road, I'd be a little bit more scared. But I think I haven't been excited about a series like this in a while because Georgia's next week.
Yeah, I think this series provides the opportunity in the sense of, like you kind of said, if you lose 2 of 3, season's not over. But to me, the upside of this weekend, if you win 2 of 3, or God forbid if you sweep, this could be the series that really is like the spark plug to the 2020 season. I mean, I feel like the entire, like, listen, if you win 2 of 3 this weekend, it's not going to be like, oh, we're going to Omaha. We're back. But it's at least, like you said, a fan base that is sort of down and out, doesn't know what to expect. I would say over half the fan base is out on Kingston. I'll be perfectly honest with you. Even though I don't think they should be necessarily yet. I think there's a lot of the fan base that's skeptical. If you can beat Tennessee 2 of 3, and like I said, God forbid if you can sweep, would be amazing. But it's at least going to give this fan base, hell, maybe this team, maybe those guys in that locker room, maybe this coaching staff, it's going to give them that jolt heading into, next week, taking on Georgia. Like, hey, maybe we got a shot here to go on the road and, upset the Dogs. And all of a sudden, South Carolina's that upstart team, that team that's like, that's getting hot. So I think the upside of this weekend, what it could provide if you can come out, which I don't think is like I think Tennessee's a good ball club, but I don't think they're that much better than us. I really don't. I think this is a series that I may honestly be picking South Carolina to win 2 of 3. But I think if you can win 2 of 3, if you lose 2 of 3, your season's not over. But the upside is what excites me, that if you do win this series, it's just going to provide that jolt that maybe this 2020 season needs.
Yeah, Tennessee. The reason why you should be excited, or fans should be excited, Tennessee just lost 2 out of 3 to Wright State. I mean, not saying Wright State is the worst team in the country, but, I mean, that's a shot. We have a good shot, especially at home, to take 2 out of 3. And we almost beat Georgia last year. We had the lead on Georgia last year late in the inning.
Yeah. But I mean, it felt like every weekend last year came down to Sunday late in the game.
Yeah, and then we don't
every week. And you didn't have Carmen. So, I mean.
And the bullpen was, injured as well with a couple injuries in the lineup. So there's a shot. So that's why I think fans should be excited, especially about, this weekend getting off to a good start. And we have the opportunity to get off to a good start. We don't have Vandy or Georgia or going on the road. So we're home, protecting our home. Kingston will have them ready, and we'll be pumped up, ready to go. It's exciting.
Yeah, and I think you're coming in, as long as you take care of business tonight against Citadel, obviously you're coming – you couldn't ask for better conditions coming into this weekend against Tennessee. I mean, not that it really matters, I guess, when we play them, but Tennessee just lost 2 of 3. Yes. Your bullpen has been dominant since the Clemson series. I don't think they've given up actually gave up 3 runs because of Andy Peters with his walks and not throwing him under the bus. But for the most part, your bullpen has been a massive improvement. You have all 3 of your starters in place. Your lineup's starting to come together. Some guys that were maybe not feeling it so much, like a Brady Allen, now leading your team in average. Andrew Eister gets off the schneid with a 3-run home run. Wes Clark is bombing the ball. Your leadoff's there. Like, all the ingredients, you couldn't ask for better conditions. I mean, it's not like we're coming off of Clemson going into SEC play. It's like you have used this last week. I will tip the cap to the boys and give them credit. You have used this last week to boost the stats, get some wins under your belt, get some confidence, and I think it's going to pay off massive dividends against Tennessee. Before we go, Bobby, one last thing, kind of on a fun note. I think we may have talked about this one of the times when you're on my show, but I'll ask you, give me your favorite, like, SEC story, or maybe like that. Obviously, you got to South Carolina in 2009. Like, what was that first – I know you weren't a guy that was, like, intimidated or anything like that, but, like, are there any memories from, like, that first SEC series for you, or, like, just a specific SEC series that it was, like, you realized, I guess, what the level – again, you played at a high level in JUCO, stuff like that, and obviously the non-conference, but when you got into SEC baseball, like, was there one moment that stuck out as, like, this is a big deal. This is another level of baseball?
When they probably had bat girls in Ole Miss, and then they had dugout dancing girls in Arkansas. That was awesome. That was pretty cool. But just the fan base. The fan base at Mississippi State, it was kind of rainy. Ole Miss was Easter weekend, so we didn't get the full effect. But like you said, Arkansas, I've been saying it over and over again. They're so, like, they don't care what the score is. They're there to watch Arkansas baseball. Right. I think maybe because it's Arkansas, it's a little different, area of the country, a little different region. But they love it. They were screaming. I think they were screaming at Adam Matthews during batting practice. Just like he didn't even take a fly ball yet. They just knew his name. Like the games didn't even start yet. And I was like, oh gosh, here we go. Just stuff like that. I think Witt was signing autographs, I think, like in between innings or something. Someone threw him something in center field or something, and they threw it back to him. I think that might be accurate.
We need some confirmation on that story.
I was like, oh, this is pretty big time right here. But Mississippi State going on the road in the rain, that was my first taste, I think, of like, this is hard. This is hard. Right. I'm lucky to scratch out a hit.
Right.
You know, you go 1 for 3 with a walk, you're sleeping so well that night. Friday night, I think I hit like a stupid triple in the rain or something. And just if you can get on base 1 or 2 times, you know, in the SEC series, you're disrupting the pitching staff, because every night, Sunday's a little leisurely, but Friday and Saturday, dude, it is a fight.
Especially Friday nights in the SEC. It's like nothing else.
Yes. A walk is so important. If you could draw a walk, if you walk 6 or 7 times as a lineup, you know, and keep your Ks under 10, you guys are doing a good job. And, you know, giving up less than 5 runs. Coach Tanner said, got to score 7, got to score 8, got to score 9 in the SEC. Can't score 5. Not going to do it. So you gotta score at least more than 5 and give up less than 5 and give up less than 5 walks.
Yeah, it's SEC baseball. I feel like there's nothing like it. It has that super regional feel like every weekend. Yes. That's 2 out of 3. Like it's that super regional postseason type feel. So Bobby, appreciate it as always, my man. A lot of fun. I know I'm looking forward to it. I know everybody else is. SEC baseball right around the corner. So we'll obviously break it down next week, and appreciate you guys tuning in. So for Bobby Haney, I'm Chris Phillips. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll catch you next time on an episode of the Spurs.